I don't know how to come off less red. Damn it. I think I just appear red no matter what I do. This is nice. It's cute or whatever. Trying to make sure that everything's kind of in a decent spot. So you can see this, you can see that, and you can see that right there. Hello. This is a pilot of my own. You know, the little first episodes, except it's kind of like a little bit of a teaser. I'm currently working on a project where I am going to be reviewing all of Smallville. So, yeah, I don't know how many episodes are in Smallville. I'm going to be completely honest. It's a lot. I want to say it's in the 300s. No, I can just do it in my head, right? 220 episodes season, 10 seasons. It's closer to 200 something. And it's going to take me a while, and I'm impatient. And I want to put something out there now. And also, I want to test the waters of what I'm kind of getting myself into, because this is the first time I've done something like this. So I want to get the recording and everything. I want to practice talking in the camera, and I want to practice editing the video. So for this teaser of my own, this pilot of my own, I'm going to be just reviewing the first 5 episodes, although I plan to review every single one, and then talk about it, give my own takes, talk about things I liked, things that I didn't like, and yeah, I'm just going to binge through Smallville, and it's going to be deranged, and it's going to be as much as I can handle. I'm going to talk about as much as I can. Sorry, I have a cat. I don't know yet if I'm going to make the entire review in one long episode, or if I'm going to make it per season. I think it might be more manageable per season, because right now I'm looking to about a 1,400 to 1,600 page draft, which is like 5 dissertations, right? And based off of that, that's like a 15-hour video. So I don't know what I'm doing with my time. So anyways, I want to talk about Smallville. So our first watch the show now, I'm surprised by how thought out it was. And I don't mean that in a rude way. I want to clarify. I don't mean that in a rude way at all. I just, watching, the show went on for 10 years, okay? And the writers had to fit in 20 to 24 episodes in per season. That's a lot of writing. And you also have to entertain your audience. Your audience comes to expect a certain thing from you. So I'm just impressed with the writers. Not to say that the show didn't feel watered down or a bit drawn out at times, but genuinely, I am impressed because there are many loose ends that get tied up very nicely at different points in the later seasons. And I'm not sure how they did this, but my guess would be that in the first episode, they laid out all of these plot points that they were maybe going to address if the show had been renewed. And if not, then they probably would have just, either addressed them sooner or whatnot. But I feel like maybe as the show was getting renewed again and again, because it was a very successful show, I feel like maybe they're like, all right, we're going to address this plot point, save this plot point for the next season, so on and so forth. I'm sure that's how they did it. I'm sure that they set up all those plot points in the beginning with the foresight that this could go on for a while. So I don't know. And maybe it's not that impressive. I'm just impressed because I didn't realize how close it stayed to its roots, and it was very nice to see. So there's a lot of really cool stuff. Like the first shot we see is Lionel holding a newspaper that says the Queens are dead. And then we see the helicopter that they're riding into Smallville. And those are 2 things that get addressed in I want to say season 8 or 9, way down the line, almost a decade later. So it's really cool stuff. I just recently finished Smallville after watching on and off for about a decade. I started watching when I was kind of little. So I'll be mentioning later seasons often because I just binged through seasons 8 through 10. I want to clarify, it's kind of cute. I don't know. I think it's adorable. But I didn't want to finish the show because I was so sad that it would be over. So I would get to season 6 or 7, and then I'd be like, I don't want to. I want to keep on watching, but I don't want to watch anymore because it's over. I don't want it to be over. But yeah, so that's why I just recently finished the series. But I started watching when I was about 12 years old. It's been a while. It's been just a little long. Let's get back to the show. So, and while we're talking about iCarly, I wanted to mention that this entire project came to mind not only because I wanted to talk about Smallville, it's my favorite TV show. I just also saw a 5-hour deep dive into iCarly that a YouTuber named Quentin Reviews did. 5 hours is really long, but it's really good. He covers everything and, talks about it. And he even got like iCarly merch and just went all out for this project. And it took him, I want to say, about 4 or 5 months. So, and that was for 100 episodes, and 100 episodes at 20 minutes each. My episodes are closer to 200 something, and they're each 40 minutes long. So I still haven't realized what I've gotten myself into. The video is great. I definitely recommend watching it if you are at all interested in iCarly, or you remember it, or whatever your relationship to it is. And if you've already watched it, cool. Get ready for another crazy, deranged review, because throughout that video, you can see him slowly losing his mind. And I don't know. I feel like that's probably going to happen. We'll see. I don't know. Back to the show. On 11 out of 10 scene. So, the intro to Smallville is great. It captures the main incident that starts the entire show, and it introduces us to a lot of important characters as well. And it just kind of shows us what the show has to offer. And I like it a lot. I think it kept me interested as well. Gave me a good laugh, gave me a good cry, and told me about Miranda Cosgrove a little bit. I thought that was cool. It was just a good intro. I liked it. Very good. Now, oh, I scared my cat. Now we get to see Tom Welling. Yippee! I don't know. I have a sign over there. My friend got it for me. A signed copy of Tom Welling's photo. There's a certificate in the back. It was signed by him. I have it up on my wall. I treasure it. It's great. He might be on the TV here in a second. Yes, he's in it. I love Tom Welling. I'm going to be talking about this man and just fangirling over him relentlessly throughout this video and throughout any further videos I make on this show. In fact, I'll probably, if I ever make a video that's not about this show, I will still be fangirling about this man because he's such a cutie. Nowadays, he's older, but he's still aged really well. He looks nice, but 20-year-old something Tom Welling, bro, you shouldn't be allowed to be that handsome. Obviously, that's probably part of why they casted him as Clark, because he is handsome. But Tom Welling has raised my standards for men in a way that cannot be reversed, and I'm here for it. We don't settle, ladies and men and all the in-between and outside. We don't settle. Anyways, Clark is scrolling through the dog as an attraction. It killed thousands of people, did it not? It killed a bunch of people at least, maybe hundreds. I don't know, the town's small, but it killed people. That's the major part. It killed people. It's a tragedy, and now it's leading to even more people mutating, which leads to other tragic events, but we don't know that yet. Sorry for the spoilers. The meteor shower was not a good thing. So why are they celebrating it on the sign that says "Welcome to Smallville"? I would argue that that is equivalent to putting a sign outside of New York that says "Home to 9/11." Am I wrong? I don't think so. It's why did they do that? I don't know. It's goofy as hell. And that's it. That's the whole show. Bye-bye. I love how everything is set out for us in this first episode. We'll see later on, but we'll go on and I'll talk more about it. And I'll probably bring up the first episode as I talk about future episodes in much later seasons, because everything is very close to this pilot. Nothing strays too far. We get a lot of things that can always come back to this first episode. It's impressive, especially compared to other shows that don't plan things out well or don't plan things out at all, which is very noticeable. And I just appreciate that Smallville didn't do that. It had a lot of love and care behind it, and it makes me love the show even more. I should probably mention this now, but I probably won't be referring to the Talkville podcast very much. I haven't been actively watching it. I've been seeing clips on YouTube, which is how I found it in the first. Well, actually, no. I found it because I was searching for YouTube bloopers or Smallville bloopers on YouTube, and Talkville came up. But yeah, I haven't been watching it actively. I don't really know what their setup is. All I know is that they just, give a deeper insight into the episode and the layout and everything like that, which is super interesting. And I already have a lot to cover on my plate, so I feel like adding Talkville to that would make me go crazy, genuinely. But also, I think people should just go watch Talkville. They should just go watch the Talkville podcast and hear it from our boys themselves. So I'll be watching it at some point, but right now I'm a little busy with this. Back when I was about 12 or 13. I had seen the show on my parents' bookshelf for years prior to that, and because it had a shirtless dude on the cover, and because the first letter I saw was an S, I always thought it was Sex and the City. And then one day, when I'm about 12 or 13, I take it off the shelf, I see a really handsome guy on the cover, and then I'm like, hey mom, can I watch this? And she's like, oh yeah, it's about Superman's upbringing. And then, surprisingly, because I was a die-hard Spider-Man fan, I watched it, which sounds normal, right? But by die-hard Spider-Man fan, I mean I would only watch Spider-Man. I'd rewatch the first 3 movies with Tobey Maguire, and then I'd rewatch The Amazing Spider-Man, and then eventually The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And that was all. That was all I watched in terms of superheroes. So getting into Smallville, I'm surprised it's a choice I made, but the moment I turned it on, I couldn't stop. I remember I got my PS4 out and I used it to watch the show with the discs, and I just fell in love instantly. And now that has led me down the line several years later to writing this review and doing this. I don't know what I'm doing with my time. We get one of several instances of Clark just doing weird things that aren't explained because he doesn't explain them because he's trying to keep a secret. And then he has a really bad excuse for them. Like, it gets frustrating. Right now, it makes a little bit more sense because he's trying to go stop this guy. But, like, later on, Clark gets all moody when his dad is like, did anyone see you? And he's like, no, Dad, no one saw me. But it's like, I could do a quick little like montage of every time someone freaking saw him, and then he just doesn't cover it up, or his excuse is like, it's a hunch, or I guessed, or whatever. And it's like, how are you doing these things? Don't do them, or well, do them, but like have a good excuse, like practice that, because it's important to keep your identity secret as we learn. It's just frustrating. And again, it plays into Clark as being like, Clark is innocent and he's a little bit silly and stupid sometimes because he's getting used to his powers. So he's gonna fluke. But like, I feel like sometimes the show just doesn't address it because it's easier not to, rather than Clark made a goof. So we'll get there though. Clark fights the Scarecrow boy. I actually completely forgot about this scene when rewatching this episode for this script. Completely forgot about it, and I absolutely love it. I will be mentioning this a couple more times, probably several more times throughout this first season and maybe the second or the third, but I feel like Clark slowly loses this wittiness and this mischievousness that he has at the beginning, because eventually he just has a stricter moral compass and sees things as good and bad, and that's it. But right here, we get to see him being a little bit goofy, and I really like that. It's very charming, it's very endearing, and I wish that they had kept it going on a little bit longer. Clark goes, I love the first episode so much. It's one of my favorite ones to rewatch, honestly. It introduces us to almost all of the characters that we'll be watching throughout the entire series, and it lays out some of the main themes that we'll also be exploring. To name a few, we get our first taste of Clark fawning over Lana, which goes on, personally, I think, for way too long, but also I like Kristen Crook, so I wouldn't want it to end. You know what I mean? But they should have stopped by season 5, and it goes on till like season 7. Way too much. We also get to see Clark and Lex's friendship develop, and that's a cool one. We see the Kent's relationship with the Luthers, and we also see Chloe's Wall of Weird. The episode is fun to rewatch, and it's easily one of my favorites out of the entire series. It's very bittersweet to watch it after watching some of the later episodes in the series, or even after watching the final episode of the series finale. And it's just a good episode. It's a great pilot. I'm not surprised that it got an okay go, basically. So I recommend it for sure. So if you're watching this and you're intrigued, go watch the show and then maybe come back, but go watch the show, or maybe watch this. It's only the first 5 episodes. You can go watch the rest of it after. There's 15 episodes in the first season. I don't know, just a thought. On to episode 2.